Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the SovereignTEA podcast. Shout out to everyone who is only listening to the sound of my voice because you are definitely missing me sitting here in a unicorn onesie, and I look adorable and very comfortable. I have been having a bit of a day, and doing the podcast was not expected or planned, but like I said, I'm having a bit of a day. I'm in a bit of a mood. Not in the I'm always a peppy person, but I don't know. I'm just not having the best day. So when I'm not having the best day, usually I turn to the internet for distraction like the rest of us because there's always a distraction on it has not been a month. I see the chat rolling in, okay? Hello, my co-hosts of the podcast, the chat. The court is always my co-host, and they're rolling in right now, and they're like, finally, it's been a month. It's been a month since I've done the podcast. Okay, maybe it's that. But I'm here in my unicorn onesie, and like I was saying, I've been in a kind of a mood. It's been kind of a day, and I'm looking for internet distraction. I enjoy conversation, so we are going to have some intense conversation today. Hello, my co-hosts. I see all of you down there pouring into the live chat. Hi, everybody. Hello, Wilson with that wrench over there. I see Rodney and I see Sean. Who's that? Soundtracks by Al. Danielle. I see everyone. Allison, Universal Beauty Con. Yes, here and present and accounted for. Welcome, everyone. We've got people from the Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, India, the United States, Australia. Everybody's here. So internet's been popping off, and I've just like trying to decide what I wanted to talk about first. My audio is weak. You're lying. You better be lying to me right now. You had better be lying to me right now because I am totally looking at it and it looks like it's popping. It looks like it's popping. Okay. I'm literally in the yellow right now. You better be lying to me about this audio because in my headphones right now, it sounds amazing as far as I know. Okay. And I'm pretty sure if it was crappy, the chat would yell at me because they like to do that. And I don't mind. They help me correct things all the time. So there's a lot of stuff happening in, hey, are you still a big Marvel? I wish you could make a video on MCU fandom divided at this moment. Oh, we have a lot to talk about. Okay, so a lot of people are saying the audio is not weak. It shouldn't be because I'm blowing my own eardrums out right now. I got the headphones on. I am listening. I'm using a perfectly fine mic. Like it should be good today. It should be popping today. I love using this microphone. So, internet's popping off. I mean, today, just to let you guys know what we are discussing. Kanye West has been all over the news for a myriad of reasons. We're going to get into that. I got to deal with Blair White, because Blair White's flapping off at the gums, got to deal with her. And then there is, in fact, a pageant issue we have to deal with. For those of you who are unaware, the Miss Greater Dairy area pageant. It's a Miss America pageant. Are we not surprised? We're not surprised. Miss America pageant has crowned someone that has caused controversy. So those are three things that we have to dive into. I appreciate those of you who are audio checking me right now because you know that I need that sometimes. There have been audio issues in a few of the videos and I have finally figured out what that problem is. So as you have seen in my latest uploads, we're not having that audio issue. I don't know where that audio issue came from. It's the most random thing in the world, but I'm dedicated and I will leave none of you behind. So we're here in our unicorn onesies, or at least I am, to talk about stuff. And the first person up that I have pulled up on my screen is Miss Blair. Why are you doing this to me, screen? Don't do that to me. And when you click on the Streamlabs screen, it like highlights a whole bunch of different boxes. It's hilarious. So for those of you who do not, girl, what's the name of the pageant? I heard Greasy Dairy. No, it's the Greater Dairy Miss America pageant. It's caused a lot of controversy. So for those of you who are trying to get to the tea before I discuss it, by all means, go ahead and lose your minds before I talk about it. First person up is Blair White. If you do not know who Blair White is, she is a trans woman who is also a self-proclaimed great Republican. She is very red, so she says. And I do not mind people of differing opinions. I follow different Republicans that, you know, argue with logic, which I mean, at this point it's really hard to do because the Republican base has gone off its rocker, but I do still try to listen to the valid points of both sides, because there's some times where I think Democrats are absolutely out of their minds and I wish I could drag them on it, but sometimes the Republicans are just so crazy that I can't even pick on the Democrats, because it's like, you guys are driving the country off a deep end. But I just popped into Blair White's video today. What was this? Canada's assisted suicide program is a nightmare. I saw that and it interested me because I'm a political person and I like to know what's going on around me. So I used to not have a problem with Blair. She hit a major controversy a little over a year ago, which had people dragging her left and right, where she falsely accused, I think it was a trans bodybuilder, of being unfair and trying to participate in female sports, which she wasn't attempting to do. She was actually trying to compete with the men, and Blair's video ended up getting that woman dragged, and then Blair wouldn't retract it, and then people started digging up dirt on Blair, and I came across some stuff that I was like, whoa, I'm cutting this off. Like, I wasn't happy. I've been trying to get back on board with this, but then I saw this video and I was like, girl, you just want me to hate you. You want me to hate you because she used to deal so much within a logical realm that I could at least respect her. You'll see why I'm saying this, okay? You'll see why I'm saying this. I am going to play this video and we are going to talk about it, but I need to, get you guys filled in and caught up. I haven't listened to the whole thing. As you can see on my screen, it's only highlighted part of the way because I stopped it and I was like, obviously, we're going to have to talk about this. Let me make sure, first of all, that it's not going to hurt anybody's ears when I turn this on. I just want to be, considerate of other people.
Right. How's that ever gotten right? So what they're talking about here is a program in Canada where you can opt for medically assisted suicide based on your mental illness, based on, I believe, poverty is a qualifier. And we now have the state in Canada executing people if they ask for it.
Okay, so starting off the discussion this is a discussion about legal medically assisted suicide. So for people that have debilitating illnesses, who know that they are likely fatal, or if they're not fatal, they're going to have to live life in excruciating, debilitating circumstances, whether it be pain or just the circumstances of life is too much, they have opted to voluntarily end their life. Now, I don't know if Blair, how much Blair has read this, or what she's saying is actually true. I'm going to have to actually pull that up, because it's very hard for me to believe that the state, the government, the nation of Canada would assist people in ending their own life simply because they don't want to live a life in poverty. That seems a bit extreme to me. Now, if I were to state my stance on medically assisted suicide, I do not believe, and I've always thought it was the weirdest thing in the world, that there's actual laws on the books, like in a lot of countries, that say it's illegal to attempt to end your own life. I do not think suicide is the right option really for anybody. I don't like that being an option. I'll never advocate for that being an option, but I also don't think that that is a place that should be my decision. That is somebody else's literal life. That is somebody else's literal body. And who am I to step in your way and decide what life you should live? Like, I've never felt comfortable with the state telling people they're going to force you to live. And then it seems a little silly to just outlaw suicide. Like, okay, are you going to throw the corpse in jail? Like, are you going to throw mentally ill people who fail at their suicides in prison because it's illegal to attempt to commit suicide? Like, I just always thought that was kind of silly to outlaw the thing, in countries that proclaim freedom so much. Like, if that isn't the most free thing you can do, is decide you don't want to live anymore, even though I do not advocate for suicide at all. And I think people should have help, but I don't think making it a law is something that, I don't know. That feels way over bounds. But I do think that having medically assisted suicide should be an option for people who are terminal, who know that they are going to live a life of excruciating pain, or a truly unfulfilled life that is only going to hurt them or others. That should be an option for them, and that is their decision to make. Now, if Blair is speaking the truth and poverty is somehow implemented in this. I would never think that the state would be okay with that. Like, oh, I don't want to be poor, so kill me. I don't think the state would do that. Like, I find that very hard to believe. Wilson says, euthanasia is a big ethical dilemma in itself already. It is a typical topic being discussed in any ethics class in college. You are correct. And that's why I was like, when I saw this, I'm like, this is such a good, discussion, because it encroaches on people's freedoms, but also the ethics and morality of it. So it's kind of a topic that is fun to discuss, even though it's kind of bleak. I'm always, first and foremost, I always support people's freedoms, even if I don't agree with them. I'm American. How am I going to sit here and proclaim to be an American, but dictate how other people choose to live their lives or not live their lives? Like, I may not agree with how some people raise their children, but you're free to be a bad parent if you so choose. Do I support it? No, please don't be a bad parent. But every time I see a bad parent in, like, I don't know, what is it? What, Trader Joe's? Okay, because I see him in Trader Joe's. Ooh, these mothers need help. I do not intervene when the last time I saw a mom get slapped by her 5-year-old and throw candy across the store. She didn't do anything about the child. There was no discipline to be had. Okay. It was not my place to tell that woman how to parent her child. And it's not my place to tell people how to live their lives. I remember the movie Me Before You. Me too. Me too. I know. Me too. And the thing is, I've worked as a CNA. I worked as a CNA for a decade. And people are like, well, you're not old enough. Look, I worked as a care provider for mentally ill and people with debilitating illnesses or disabilities. I started doing that before I even graduated high school. So I have a unique perspective, and I've worked with people that would have liked to have this option. I have seen what these certain illnesses and genetic mutations do to people, so I understand their plight. I would never take that decision from them. It is their choice, and I've seen the suffering that can happen. So I think everybody has the option to choose how to live and or end their life. I would prefer people not do it over something trivial, but it is still your life. I kind of feel like Blair's exaggerating a little bit when it comes to, I don't know, saying Canada's willing to kill poor people. I think that's a bit much, but there's more in this video. We're going to keep going.
This is why people don't understand why I vote red. It's like, if you understand sort of the way the world works, you can look at places like Canada and the UK and Sweden, and you can see what is coming down the pipeline, because they are further left, which means they have achieved just objectively more of their goals in a shorter amount of time than the US has. So this is why people worry about giving leftist politicians and the left in general an inch, because they take a fucking mile. I'm someone who can absolutely get behind, and people get mad at this, medically assisted suicide in very rare instances where someone is objectively terminally ill with no hope of curing whatever they have and is in agonizing pain. If you have 6 months left and you are for sure gonna croak out and you are in excruciating pain, or you have, it's just so much like that, that's one thing. I can get behind that. It's very sad, and it's a very unfortunate part of like life and the human experience that happens to some people, but I can get behind that maybe if you convince me. This, you're just mentally ill, and so you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. Big Daddy government Canada, can you just off me? Like, what the fuck is happening? This is why it's like safe, legal, and rare, right? A lot of people are now looking at the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and they may be people who supported like, very early abortion and been like, you know what? I can get behind you're a month, you're 2 months into pregnancy, and this is the right decision for you. I can get behind that. There's a lot of people like that. But then those same people get pissed off when they see all of a sudden that means 2 years after that there are babies in the 9th month being fucking aborted. And yes, it is happening.
No. Okay. Yeah. So that was the moment where I decided that I was going to talk about this, because I was like, right there is exactly why I no longer follow you, Blair. Where did that come from? Somebody in the chat, hello, co-host. Somebody in the chat want to tell me where she pulled this fact from? I did leave a public comment because I don't know why YouTubers act uppity. I am not an uppity YouTuber. I left a comment on her channel on this video, asking her to drop me a link of where any medical office or physician is aborting babies in the 9th month of pregnancy, because she sat here and said, yep, it's happening. I said, where? Let me know, because that's considered murder. Okay. As someone who is very versed in law, they find one oxygenated molecule in the lungs of an infant, you are going to prison for murder. If you cause the death of a viable fetus, you are going to prison for murder. So who is out here murdering fetuses? Who's out here murdering 9 months free? Because she said, yep, it's happening, with her whole chest, both of those fake boobs, which I'm not hating on, okay? Because one day I might get them done too. But those fluffy boobs, there's a lot that came out from in between those cleavage. Where did that breath come from? Where did that take come from? I was like, no, we're not going to do that and just slip that right in there, because this is why people cannot have cognitive discussion with people of differing opinions, is because you cannot pull nonsense out of air. You can't do that. You cannot do that, because then I'm not discussing with someone built in the basis of logic. You cannot demonize people for, like, out of a fantasy book. Where are you ripping these pages from? What novel? What YA novel are you pulling these facts from? She sat in front of me and just said they're murdering babies in the 9th month of pregnancy. No, it's not even about abortion. She just wanted to throw that in there. And that's why I'm like, Blair used to deal in logic. And so when I heard this, I was like, what? Where did that come from? Blair, I haven't gotten an answer from anybody. And it was 2 days ago that I posted this. I want an answer. Somebody go DM Blair. Blair, where did you get? Because I want to know who's killing fetuses. I want to know who's killing babies in the 9th month of pregnancy. I want an answer immediately, Blair. Immediately.
When they're voting for trans rights, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, Antifa in a women's prison. It's like, what? You give the left an inch and they take a mile, and that's like the biggest.
You see, she just wants to demonize a people of a certain belief, or people of a certain political party. And I'm just like, I have problems with both parties, but when I have a problem with a party or a person, you guys have seen me go after people plenty of times. I will state what my problem is in list form, in fact form. I will provide links and demonstrations and proof. I have never sat here and just spout off at the mouth fictional evidence. And that's what she's doing, which like freaks me out, because a year ago she wasn't this tarnished. A year ago she wasn't this dense. And I'm just like, one of the injections went to her brain. You got to be careful with those. Okay. You got to be careful. I know I haven't gotten one yet, but eventually, like, if ever, well, I'm Black, we don't really crack that easy, but like, if ever I did, I'm not above getting a filler here and there if I needed to do it. Hopefully I don't. Look at my moisturized skin. I'm just glistening over here. I moisturized tonight. You guys should be very proud. I do it every night though, but still, something's wrong with Blair for her to go this far. I'm like, who are you?
Biggest problem is there's no curtailing of the end goal for them. They don't stop. So it's like, because they don't stop, they end up with these excesses, and it's almost always really ugly. And this is something that's very ugly. Like, do you know how many people, if this was available in the US, that I personally know that might not be here, if they had the option of calling up whoever these people have to call up and be like, I want to leave the planet. Like, I have very close friends who suffer with mental illness. If that had been an option for them here, who knows if I would even have them with me today. And these people have overcome their issues. What happened to treating people? Oh yeah, that costs money. It's very sad. We have a video here. In this video, I think we'll explain sort of what's happening.
Are you afraid to die?
Who isn't? Yeah,
Amir Farsood has applied for medically assisted dying, known as MAID. He lives in constant agony due to a back injury, but has started the process for end of life because his rooming house is up for sale and he can't find anywhere else to live that he can afford. He barely survives on Ontario disability support payments, which are just over $1,200 a month.
So this man is on a list to be executed by the state because he is poor.
Okay. I'm getting emotional because I'm actually sad right now. Like, I'm actually sad. I'm actually very sad about that. That's, that is horrible. That this man, we are discussing Canada's medically assisted suicide, which is being not only made available for people with terminal illnesses, but apparently also people in different stages of poverty. Now, I find this a little bit hypocritical of Blair, who is a self-proclaimed deep red Republican, because you're going to be mad at the state for offering this, which I do not think should be offered. Medically assisted suicide is for people with debilitating illnesses, terminal illnesses, not poverty. But this is very ironic that the Republican is going to sit here and chastise the state for making this available, but you are not an advocate for any social programs to alleviate poverty for the public or anybody in need. The Republicans are constantly the people trying to restrict the programs that help these people. So you want to force people to live, right? But you don't want to help them live. You want to help them live the worst lives possible, but as long as they're there, you don't mind. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Y'all mind when they're there because you're always complaining about the homeless population, right? In all the liberal cities, there's all this homeless, right? All this homeless population. But you also want to restrict every program to help the homeless, right? Every Republican that's ever been on freaking Fox News, y'all are some NIMBY people, not in my backyard people. You don't want to help anybody in need, but you want to sit here and chastise. Like, where is the sense? Where is the sense? You cannot be against every program to help people in poverty, but then chastise the state. Like, this is the same contradiction when we discuss the whole abortion thing, right? The Republicans want to be against abortion, but they do not then want to provide for the children they forced into life. You don't want to medically assist the mothers who cannot financially support these kids. You don't want to finance the public schooling that helps teach these kids. You don't want to help the foster care system that is horribly understaffed and underfinanced. Like, how are you guys doing this? It's like you like watching people suffer, and any avenue the average person takes to get away from suffering pisses you off. You don't want anybody to have an out. And I'm not saying medically assisted suicide should be an out for poverty. What Blair should be up here doing is whining and complaining that this is the solution that Canada has come up with. There should be another way to help people in poverty other than death. Why is Blair not up here saying, excuse me, where are the housing programs, the financial aid, something? You guys should be helping people instead of offering to off them. But of course, she's Republican, so she doesn't do, social issues. She doesn't do social care. She doesn't care about people in poverty. As long as they stay alive long enough to suffer in her presence, she's happy with it. This is my problem. I hate the hypocrisy, the contradiction. It drives me up a wall. It drives me up a freaking wall. I do hope topic about abortion should be more open here in the Philippines. I actually have researched how abortion works in the Philippines and the impact it has had on that culture and that community. That would honestly, I would totally have a conversation. I might need some of my courtiers to pop in and help me with that one, but it would be a fun one to discuss because that's such a unique circumstance and the cultural the cultural politics of that, and it's a very deep family issue. Absolutely. Even with her big following, dang, absolutely. I'm like, Blair, come on. Like, why is your thought process knuckle deep? Like, it's not even deep enough to have a bath. Are you clean? You're not even getting, it's not even enough to brush your teeth, Blair. You're not even trying. Blair has every reason to drag the Canadian government, but you should be up here dragging the Canadian government for not offering any other form of aid other than death. That would be my stance. I would sit up here, Canada, what are you doing? You have poor people on the streets, and the first thing you're going to offer them is death? You're going to offer them death. Not any type of assistance or aid or housing or vouchers or nothing. Death. That's what you've come up with. Liberal freaking Canada has come up with death for the poor. Is this the purge? We are living in the purge. These are the early signs of the purge, you guys. This is ridiculous. Like, Andrew says, hypocrisy means fakeness, right? I should know this, but I don't. Pretty much. It's kind of like if I sat up here, like basic terms, right? Hypocrisy is if I sit up here telling you guys don't eat junk food for dinner, don't eat candy and ice cream and cake for dinner, that's unhealthy, while stuffing my face with a Snickers. That's pretty fake, but that's also called hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the adult term of saying you're fake. And once again, this is, why am I subscribed? Did I subscribe to keep tabs on her nonsense? Maybe it's because I unsubscribed from all of her other things and maybe I just skipped this one. I kind of want to keep tabs on her nonsense though. So I must have just subscribed to keep tabs on her nonsense because I have unsubscribed from Blair, a long time ago. Like when I found out she did that black face mask thing and everybody was posting it on Twitter and I didn't bat an eye at it. Cause I'm like, whatever, she has on a black face mask because people were like making blackface comments about her. And I'm like, that's stupid. I have the black charcoal face mask. She's not doing anything. And Blair like denied it. And as I kept trying to dive deeper into the issue to why people were dragging her so much, I finally caught, cause she deleted it and she like hid it and kept it from everybody. And this is what she did. She posted that photo on her channel to try to discredit everybody who was talking about her, but she cut out the caption. So originally I was on her side because all I saw was the photo and I was like, well, the photo is no problem. That's a face mask. She's not doing blackface, you guys, lay off. I saw the caption and it said #Black Lives Matter. And then I was like, oh, not only is the caption a problem, the fact that you tried to hide it and then you didn't want to address the fact that that's what you captioned it. That's when I was like, okay, you're fake. No, I'm gone. That's it. Had she addressed it, I kind of would have been like, okay. But the fact that she purposefully hid it and went so far as to not address it, I was like, girl, you're done. No, we're not doing that. We're done. So yeah, this was my issue with Blair. There was the whole abortion thing, which I still have. Here's my comment on her channel. It is on this video. I have yet to get a single response from anybody where physicians are offing 9-month-old fetuses. I want proof, Blair. And then she's going to sit here and chastise the Canadian government, but you're also not supportive of any social programs at all. Miss me with the nonsense, Blair. This is why. For those of you who are like, oh my God, why are you don't follow Blair anymore? You don't keep eyes on Blair. It's because of this. It's BS, complete BS, on top of the fact that she lied about her political compass test, the test that I did on my channel. She ended up being in a liberal zone, but she didn't want her audience to see it. So she went and like screen captured or screenshot one from Google to make it look like she had landed Republican, even though she didn't. And people called her out on it. Yeah, I'm good. Like, don't be fake. I don't do fake people at all. At all. I don't care how nice your eyelashes are, how well you do your makeup. And yet, Mom had something to say about this earlier. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not even going to say a word. Mom, my mother, you guys be thinking I'm vicious, but you don't want my mother. So that was Blair White. And now you guys know why I don't follow her. But there is this big controversy that I also want to discuss, and we can get, I know I need to do Kanye West, but the Miss Greater Dairy something pageant. Anybody heard of that? Anybody at all heard of the controversy that I am about to discuss? Because it is unyielding, unceasing. Pageantry, you guys, have entered the mainstream, and the Republicans are losing their mind because it obviously involves trans people. Now, I'm not going to say they're entirely wrong on this, but For those of you who are not pageant fans, I am both a pageant fan, but this pertains to everybody. Trust me on this. So, a trans woman has won the regional Greater Dairy Miss America beauty pageant. Now, those of us who are pageant fans know that in the grand scheme of things, Miss America ain't nothing. I'm just have to be totally honest. The international Big Five pageants do not pay attention to Miss America. Miss America does not go international. Now, it is a prestigious, or it used to be a prestigious, respected pageant in the United States, but ever since the whole Gretchen Carlson thing and it got super conservative and they took away swimwear and it's like, it hasn't been updated. It's kind of crumbling. Like, no one's looking at that pageant. No one's paying attention to that pageant except for the girls who are there kind of for nostalgia purposes or scholarship purposes. It's not a predominant pageant. Don't get canceled, Ivana. Look, you guys know I have said many things on the internet, okay? If y'all were going to cancel me, it would have been a long time ago. And I know the trans issue, you got to tread real lightly. And yet I don't care. I don't care because I'm an equal opportunity person over here. Everybody gets treated the same, which means trans people, you don't get kid gloves either. You don't get any special treatment from me because I feel like that's insulting. I treat everybody equal because they are equal. That's like, I've said that to the pageant queens. They're like, oh, why are you so hard on the pageant queens? Because they're competitors just like everyone else. Just because they're pretty women, what am I supposed to be dainty with them? I'm not. So it's out of respect, but still we're gonna discuss it.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Last night, I saw one of my very favorite bands in the entire world.
Now, this woman is, I do believe she's a hardcore Republican. I just came across her channel because she was talking about this video. There's a lot of Republicans talking about this video because they just don't like trans people, period. Like, they just don't. As you can see by the title, this is titled, "This Man Just Won a Female Beauty Pageant." Like, I'm just letting you guys know how she titled her video. That's how she titled it. So it's telling you a lot right there. Right freaking there. So, let's let her speak.
I wanted to talk about for a few days now. I was not in on Friday, so I was not able to talk about it then. So I swapped it into Monday. I'm very excited because in New Hampshire, a man has just won a women's pageant. But before we get into the story, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you've not already, ring that notification bell, and of course, you can go to dailywire.com/Brett to check out my merch. We're stoked. So if you've not gotten things yet, models first time, but this in the whole Miss America pageant, November 9th, and it says transgender model wins local Miss America pageant for the first time ever. So this is not only just this transgender model's first time, but this in the whole Miss America pageant, they have actually only had biological females win. Quite based, honestly, up until this point. I can't believe that is something that I'm saying is based, but you know what, in 2022, that's kind of where we're at right now. Here is the video that went viral of this dude being crowned. That's just a weird freaking world. It's so strange.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
The caption on this video, this is on Twitter, says, Brian Eugen is a man who just won a female beauty pageant. I'm sure he earned his win, and him being trans had absolutely zero factor whatsoever in the fact that a chubby dude won a beauty pageant over a bunch of healthy and real girls. First of all, I'm just immediately distracted. Like, dude, please put on a shirt. I can literally send you an Amazon link to help you out. I do not want to see any of this. By the way, guys, did you know that over 60% of products on Amazon are sold by third parties and cheered like little seals like, oh, I'm sorry. Their opportunities all rubbing mental note to avoid Derry, New Hampshire. Somebody else said, I swear, women fought for their rights. Why are they okay with men taking their rights? Their opportunities all rubbing it in their face. Because apparently women are stupid. All of those girls stood on that stage and cheered like little seals like, oh, I'm so excited that this man is taking my spot. I'm so excited that a biological man is in a women's pageant. What? No. This next comment, I think he thought it was Greater Dairy. Dairy's spelled like dairy.
So yes, you guys are hearing this right. And yes, it is an Asian queen. For those of you that care, an Asian trans queen has for the first time won a regional Miss America pageant. Now, This story is all over YouTube, you guys. Like, watch. I'm typing it in right now. Everybody who's watching will see me misspell this. See, all I did was type in the word trans and pageant, and it's all over everywhere. It's being talked up to everybody. This is hit mainstream. So like I said, Miss America is not one of the most like respected pageants out there. It really doesn't matter. And what a lot of these commentators, very predominant commentators, as you can see, Ben Shapiro's on this too. What a lot of these commentators are missing is that the Miss America pageant, number one, isn't really a pageant anymore. And that's not me taking their title, even though I snatched that years ago. I did. I have a video on that. I snatched their right to be a pageant a long time ago. Miss America handed over their right to be a pageant and stood on stage and said, we are no longer a pageant. We are a competition. They do not consider themselves to be a pageant. And Miss America really is not judged on the same level as every other major pageant, which is why no one considers them anymore, because it's kind of a farce at this point. It makes no sense. Go find all of my videos dragging Miss America for ruining Miss America. It's not a pageant anymore. It is not judged on the basis of beauty. Now, somebody in one of these videos did actually go into the rules for this particular pageant. And I was actually pretty surprised that the regional pageants and some of the state pageants are still going by the old rules of Miss America, because the national pageant no longer functions that way. They do not have an evening gown walk. They do not even have a swimwear anything. They don't do anything. Their competition is primarily talent and spoken word questions and interview on stage. It's very boring. I'm sorry. I've dragged it many times. I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. It's a farce. But the regional pageant rules actually state, according to several people who've actually read them, that 1/3 of the competition score is supposed to be form and fitness. I was giving Miss America the benefit of the doubt that everybody was operating by the same rules, but apparently Miss Greater Dairy was still operating by the same standards as the old Miss America. Sounds like a beauty pageant to me? No. Miss America is a scholarship competition with a crown, basically. Yeah, you're right. You got it there. Andrew's doing good down there. But they don't like to be called a beauty pageant. Yeah, they do not like to be called a beauty pageant. And I don't consider them a beauty pageant because they are not judging anything on the standards of beauty. They're not using beauty at all in their factoring of giving out the crown for the national title. However, the regional competitions apparently are still abiding by the old rules. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is actually a problem, because no matter what, you guys know, above all, I am a fair person. I always talk about being fair. I am completely unbiased. I don't care if it was my mom on stage. If I felt like people were playing favorites with my mom, I would say so. I would drag my own mother if I felt like her walk was bad or her gown was bad or her fitness was. I don't care. I don't care. I'm fair. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, see, you guys had a point. I was going to say that everybody dragging this was wrong, because Miss America is not a pageant, and you guys all messed up in that. They're not a pageant. They don't typically judge on the standards of beauty. I did see Brian, and I'm not dead naming anybody, still going by Brian. I did see Brian perform on stage. I did. And I do think this conversation is long overdue, because I have heard it from queens before, and you guys have seen me drag queens who thought that they shouldn't be losing to women who looked like they weren't as pretty as they were, right? In pageantry, there's more than one thing that matters. I have said many times, you cannot simply be beautiful and win. You have to be able to walk. You have to be poised. You have to be able to speak. You have to be graceful. You really have to be an extravagant all-around person in order to win. So in my mindset, because I know everybody's looking at this trans woman and thinking, well, she's overweight, she doesn't look as good as me, she shouldn't have won. That's not it. Because quite honestly, I don't care if it's a 300-pound woman. I don't care. If she walks better than you, she has more confidence than you, if she's more fun to watch on stage, and she can speak better than you, boo-boo, I don't care if you have an 8-pack. You lost. You lost. On the checklist of 5 to 10 things that are required to win, if you have one of those things and that other woman has 4 out of 5, You lost. I don't care. You can beat somebody in one category. That is not a justification to win. So if the only thing people were saying about this trans woman was she doesn't fit the look of a pageant queen, I did watch Brian walk. I watched Brian strut. And even though this is an Miss America pageant, and I don't even know, I mean, I guess I understand why she decided to go with this pageant, because everybody is correct in thinking the other pageants would not have let her win. They wouldn't, because they operate by a certain standard of beauty. But I watched Brian walk, and I tell you right now, Brian sure as hell outperformed everybody on that stage. She did. Sorry, I know you guys don't want to hear that. It doesn't matter if you don't think Brian's as pretty as you. She walked better than you. Had more confidence than you. Much more fun to watch on stage, because I know from what I saw, them girls was looking plastic as hell. Looking like Polly Pocket from the 90s. It was not fun. And be mad. Be mad. Because it takes more than pretty looks to win. It certainly does. Now, I am side-eye. I mean, if because the fitness portion does matter. Even if Brian had lost the physical fitness portion, she likely won everywhere else. She likely won everywhere else. So that's why I'm like, I'm side-eyeing it. At first, I didn't know that they were using physical fitness at all. I didn't know that. I'm looking at the chat right now. How did you see the full pageant? You can't see the full pageant, but people do have rehearsal clips and links to the trans female actually performing. And homegirl was performing with all the spice and sauce. Like, she knew what she was doing. She knew what was required to look good and walk, good in a pageant. Absolutely. So I'm not going to sit here and be biased. We all can sit here and look and know that Brian does not fit the typical standards of beauty. And in a Miss Grand scenario, in a Miss Universe scenario, in pretty much any major international pageant, even if it was a regional pageant, Brian would not have won, because those standards of beauty are still upheld. But in Miss America, it's not nearly as important. And the competition is not nearly going to be as rough in a Miss America pageant. Absolutely not. You're up against church girls. They're I'm sorry. It might as well be it's not a quinceañera. What is a debutante ball? Like, you're up against damn near 15-year-olds and 20-year-old bodies. Like, that's Miss America is just not. This is why I don't talk about Miss America, because all it does is drive me nuts. Here's another comment.
Y'all out here doing too much, bro. Y'all doing too much.
Brian get crowned. That was the crowning.
Will send you a free gold bar.
Wow, we don't care about that.
Wherever they were in New Hampshire. The first trans person. Now, when I show you the picture of everybody else, you're going to see why it appears to be crazy. Why are they doing this to our people? However, there is more to beauty pageants than just beauty.
Yes.
So I don't know why they call it beauty pageants. And definitely they weren't probably.
Oh, sweetheart, no. See, this is why you need a pageant expert. I'm tired of people saying stuff about beauty pageants and you don't know what you're talking about, okay? Because beauty is more than just skin deep, sweetheart. You can be beautiful on the inside as well as the outside. So it's still called a beauty pageant. It's just the layman, dense person only applies it to the outside, because you guys are a lot more shallow than you realize. Those of us pageant fans that know better know that we require beauty in every aspect of your existence in order to crown you queen. Because we have disowned a lot of mean girls from the pageant community, and they have been El Tucuyo'd many times. Many times. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know what El Tucuyo is, it's a woman who we thought was worthy of a crown up until she likely opened her mouth. Or in the more recent times, it's become the woman who was, in our view, misjudged by the panel and we thought should have gone further and was more deserved. El Tucuyo used to be a bad thing. It's turned into more of a good thing now. Either way. But the point is, beauty is more than just your outward appearance.
Let me move on past that point. you got to be good at a multitude of things. My little sister did beauty pageants. She won Miss Texas, I think, 2 or 3 years.
Snaps.
She won Miss Texas. She was amazing.
Hell
you
yeah.
have to be good academically.
Yes.
You have to do community outreach.
Yep.
You obviously have to be beautiful.
Yep.
I mean, you got all of these things have to go in your way in order
I like
for you
him.
to make the cut. However, my
That's
problem
research.
isn't just the fact that I believe, this is my personal belief, that this is not even a competition in beauty when it comes to this person and the rest of these young girls. I'm just being honest. Look, everybody can't be beautiful. So they must be looking at something else. However, why does a man, a boy, have an opportunity to jump into the race against young women? I don't understand that, because Miss USA won't allow this. Miss USA say you have to be biologically born as a woman in order for you to participate in Miss USA.
No, wrong. This is once again why you need some help, sweetheart, because everybody in my chat already knows that we have had several trans competitors compete in the Miss Universe lineup, and specifically Miss USA. It was last year's Miss Nevada was a trans woman, and she was very wonderful on stage and had a beautifully designed rainbow gown when she won Nevada. So that is wrong. Miss USA does in fact allow trans women to compete. And furthermore, I understand, and people can get mad at me if you want, but I'm not pulling punches, and I'm not going to sit here and placate anybody's feelings. I don't care. I understand why people pull up the biological differences between men and women when it comes to physical sports. I get that. But pageantry, there is no advantage that a trans woman can, I mean, we'll get into that, but there's no physical real advantage that a trans woman is going to have over a biological female in this situation. This is not a physical sport. This is more of a self-based type of thing, more of a creativity type of thing. Now, when you get into things like, for example, figure skating, I totally see why that would be unfair. And I don't care what anybody says about that. As an educated figure skater, as someone who knows the sport, you under no circumstances can put anybody biologically male into the female category of figure skating and call it fair, because the way, if you even just go watch the two competitions, the way women skate and the way men skate is totally different. The women are not busting out quads on the ice. They are not doing it. Meanwhile, you cannot win even a bronze medal in the men's category without busting out a quad. You got to have quads in your backpack when you arrive at Worlds and damn straight at the Olympics. The women can't do it. They physically cannot do those movements because of their build, because of their body. It's literally aerodynamics and physics. The shape of their hips, the weight of their legs does not allow them to do those physical maneuvers that the men can easily pull off. And I'm not saying it's like super easy, because quads are insanely difficult, but men are popping them off left and right. They're doing quad after quad after quad. They're just throwing quads left and right. It's insane. I don't care I can clearly show you the difference between men and women's figure skating. And it's the same thing when it comes to artistically skating up against women. A lot of men cannot match the artistic abilities of women because they do not possess that flexibility. Men jump way better than women. Women artistically can skate better than men. Tennis is the same thing, and Serena Williams have told people she would get her butt spanked if she had to compete with the boys. She doesn't want to. She said, I don't want to. I would get whooped, because it's just different sports. It's totally different. So people can get mad at me all they want. When it comes to physical sports, weightlifting, like I said, figure skating, track and field, MMA and boxing and things like that, there is a discussion to be had about the unfairness that can be presented when it comes to trans women entering into women's sports. That is scientifically factual. I don't really know anybody who's going to argue with that. And that has nothing to do with, oh, you don't consider them being real women. You don't consider them as nothing about that. I consider Wonder Woman to be a real woman. I do. Like, if she was physically here with me, she's a woman. Would I allow Wonder Woman to compete in sports with other women? No. No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. Wonder Woman she's a woman, but she has way too much of an advantage. Well, I'm not stepping in a ring with Wonder Woman, okay? So what I'm saying is, trans women are superheroes. They're sorry, like you guys are like you're plus human beings. You're human plus. you just have superpowers that everybody else does. So in every circumstance, it's not fair. It's not fair. That does not mean you are invalid in any way. It does not invalidate your existence, but you were born special in a way that other people were not. And you cannot say that you are physically the same when you also acknowledge that you're not. Because that would be weird, because then you wouldn't be trans. Like, that's one thing that always did confuse me about the community is like, in pageantry, we always preach self-acceptance. And sometimes a lot of trans women are really good at just accepting who they are. But I realized that some trans people on both sides, whether it be trans men or trans women, really struggle, even after a full transition, they still struggle to just accept that they are trans. Like, that's something that still bothers them. They're always pushing for validation and acceptance, and any slight against them, they get really mad. And the same thing I preach to pageant girls and children, I'll say to them, I'm like, why do you care? Do not let people get to you like that. Like, why do you care? I understand how painful, for example, it can be to be like misgendered, but I'm a biological woman. I was born with all the problems that come with being a woman. And guess what? I have also been misgendered in my life purposefully. This is not something that is specific to trans women. Men do it to women just to be assholes. They'll call women men just to be assholes. That's just a feature of being a woman. If you didn't know, trans women, welcome to the club. They diss us no matter what. But I'm just like, I know it can be really hard to accept that. But the fact remains that, yeah, and I see writers in the comments, you cannot physically change. And I've never understood how people try to justify that in any sense. I understand transitioning and the whole thing, but you cannot biologically change the fact that your bone density is different and your hand size is different and just everything is built different. You guys are superhuman. Trans women are superhuman, and it's not fair for Wonder Woman to go beat up the mortals. It's not. Now in pageantry, the discussion is a little bit different because, like I said, I like the fairness. I just want everything to be fair. That's all I care about. So in pageantry, my concern is trans women take pride in their change. They're like butterflies, and watching their change is honestly a miraculous feat. Watching a trans woman go through a full transformation is insanely like, oh my God, like have you seen it happen? Have you seen what these women do and just what they come out looking like? It's just like, build a Barbie, not build a bear, build a Barbie. It's insane. It's amazing. So they take a lot of pride in achieving a full transition, as they should. It's a very daunting, difficult journey to take. But in a lot of pageants proclaim to be self-accepting. They like to tout self-confidence and accepting who you are and the person that you are. Like, they are always preaching self-acceptance. So it's kind of a double standard to praise trans women for a miraculous change, but also preach self-acceptance. You see how that can be a contradiction to have trans women on a stage preaching about self-acceptance when you know the audience is looking at them like, sis, you went through a full, you just went through a full change, like fully physically changed. On top of the fact that in pageantry, a lot of women are berated for doing any type of cosmetic surgeries, whether it be, bust enhancements, facial changes, implants, all the different things that women do to their face. We'll get into pageantry and a lot of women will get chastised because it's like, okay, we can tell that you changed all this. We can tell you've had the surgeries. And a lot of people don't like uplifting that because then it influences the audience and other women to feel like that's how far they need to go in order to be the face or pinnacle of beauty or win a crown, which a lot of pageants try to veer away from. They don't want a queen that looks super enhanced or like she's had a lot of work done because it sends the wrong message. They're trying to preach self-confidence. You can't preach self-confidence when you've had a lot of work done and then you're like, now I'm confident after you've had a lot of work done, right? So it then becomes a discussion of how do we cannot fault biological women. Like, we can't tell biological women, you can't have anything done. We don't want you having any surgical procedures. We don't want you doing anything. We don't want you to be too overly done or overly made up. But at the same time, praise trans women for going through all the changes, for getting implants and getting surgical procedures and nose jobs and forehead shaves and jaw alignments and all that stuff. They get the praise, but then the biological women are put down for doing the same procedures. That's not fair. So I don't know how the pageant community and how these organizations are going to judge this or handle this, because I know that the pageant community at large is very accepting of the LGBT community, which obviously the T includes the trans community. It's just difficult being that the tagline of a lot of these competitions is self-confidence, self-acceptance, and that's really hard to do when you physically changed, even though I think the trans women should be able to be praised for those very miraculous changes, which is, in my opinion, that's why I kind of like having what is it, Miss Queen International, where all the trans women compete, like all of them come out, because then we don't have to have that thought in the back of our head of, we secretly know all these women have had, you know, surgical procedures, and we don't necessarily want to uplift that for everybody. But in the trans community, like, that is a major feat. And I like that they have their own platform where we don't have to worry about the surgical procedures or enhancements. We can really just praise them for the journey that they've been on without dealing with the biological women. Like, I like the fact that we can just disregard the biological women altogether and just give the trans women the praise that they deserve for going through the difficulty and the feats that they have to get this confidence, to go through this transformation and then get on stage and showcase it. I love being able to just focus on that instead of mixing it in with the biological women, who are then, it becomes a whole convoluted mess, having to, okay, is this even fair to them? Even though they deserve praise, now it's not unfair to them. Like, it gets really cross-wired. It just gets really, really freaking messy. And it's going to, eventually it'll come to a head where the pageant community is going to have to figure out like what to do, because I guarantee you it's going to be a really hard thing for even a trans woman to do. If a trans woman were to win, for example, Miss Universe, she's going to have to sit there in that crown and, you know, preach self-acceptance and self-confidence, but at the same time, go through all these questions of people being like, okay, you preaching self-confidence, but you also didn't accept yourself as you were born. So it's a contradiction. It's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard. That's why the trans issue is so difficult. And I'm like, someone's going to yell at me about the whole sports issue. I don't care. Like, I don't argue with science. So I mean, if you're going to be one of those science deniers, just like the flat earthers, you don't need to talk to me, because I have nothing, like, I have nothing to hear from you. I don't. I don't. In this situation, though, I understand why Brian would have won. Yes, Brian's not in the best shape. I'm not going to act like, we're not going to act like this is not obvious. Brian's not in the best shape. The way some of the other girls are smaller and more tiny and whatever. That's fine. Brian, let's say Brian lost the fitness portion of the competition. Brian probably won every other portion of competition, which is just a feature of how poorly some of these women perform in some of these pageants. And I have been warning women forever, and they don't want to listen to me because they think they're cute, bubbly, and blonde. They just think they're so cute that they're just untouchable, right? Like, why would I be beaten by her? Because she walks better than you, sis. Because she straightens her knees and does turns without falling out of them. You guys can lose to women who don't look as good as you because you suck at performing. Go practice.
But for some reason, the virtue signal is out of control. Let's go to some pictures, because y'all see this person here who won, and I want you to see everybody else. And if I was a parent, I'd be questioning. I would be upset. And I personally want to know, what was the credentials of the other young people in this pageant? What were their credentials?
I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at these girls. They got crushed in all of their onstage performances. And I promise you, look, okay, I have learned I don't play around with Asian people when it comes to pageantry. And Brian seems like she did some research and she knows what to do. So I'm also going to suspect that Brian crushed it during Q&A. So as much as y'all want to tout some physical fitness, which is an important part of pageantry, these girls likely lost on every other level there was. Brian really gave the judging panel no option but to crown her. And that's what you're supposed to do. And I have said this in videos before, because it's like, it's not impossible to compete and win a pageant without being in the best shape. You just have to make sure you smash the other girls on every other level. If you're going to lose, it better be only on physical fitness, and you better win on everything else, and you can walk away with it. And yes, the audience and the competitors are going to be mad, but ladies, look, if you're getting spanked that bad, you don't deserve to win. You don't. I'm sorry, you don't. And quite honestly, I don't think Miss America even deserved Brian, because based on the walk that I saw, why are you giving that to Miss America when you know they're not about to appreciate that walk? Because Miss America doesn't do walks at all, so it was just a waste. But I know Brian just wanted that crown and the scholarship, so there's that.
Because something don't look like the rest of it. That boy ain't got no business doing this. And I'm not saying you're supposed to alienate him, but the parents should nip this in the bud way before it starts. The pageant should nip this in the bud way before it starts. All these young women have focused on fitness. They're definitely pretty. They have beautiful dresses. I'm assuming that they probably have equal credentials. So if you have equal credentials.
Not equal performance skills, babe. You're missing the performance skills, okay? You're missing the performance skills. They probably got outperformed in an interview, too.
Community outreach, and you're prettier, then why wouldn't you win this? It's because
wait, can we deal with the prettier thing though? By the way, did you guys see the photo? I know those of you listening on the podcast can't, but Brian takes photos the way that a competitor is supposed to take photos. Brian takes photos the way a state competitor takes photos. Me looking at these girls next to Brian in this photo, do you see how Brian's face is snatched? Brian knows how to do her makeup. The makeup is flawless. I've seen videos of Brian. I've seen videos of her doing her thing, walking. Like, Brian knows how to take photos. Brian knows how to do her makeup. Brian knows how to do everything a pageant girl does. I'm looking at these other girls in this photo. Why does everybody look barefaced? Everybody in this photo looks barefaced. And the problem is, I'm pretty sure they're not. The problem is, I'm sure at least a couple of these girls have makeup on, but the fact that I can't even tell and you look barefaced means you don't know how to present yourself. You don't know how to do your makeup. So in the standards of a beauty pageant, you don't know the beauty aspect either. So what are we looking at here? Like, this is why you guys shouldn't be talking about this conversation without the input of a true pageant fan or analyst, because you don't know what to look for. These girls don't know what they're doing. And that's why they lost to Brian, who's likely an educated pageant fan.
They have intent to virtue signal. Let's go to a couple other pictures. So you just can see.
Look at that.
Difference. And like, this is not.
Look at that. Are you kidding? Brian looks like a straight pageant queen next to these other girls who look like tiny teenage girls, but they're competing in a Miss category. They're competing in a Miss category looking like this, and you wonder why Brian won. I do not wonder why Brian won this at all.
Hold on, time out. And this is not like.
Oh, by the way, one of my co-hosts, it's Writer 101 says everyone else looks like they're taking picture at a church, and it's 100% true. Excellent observation from you.
Somebody winning or graduating valedictorian, right? Where it doesn't matter what you look like. It only matters what your performance is. But I mean, can we keep it real with people?
No. It 100% matters what you look like. It does. It's still a beauty pageant, and they're still abiding by the old beauty pageant rules. Brian has Brian's makeup done. The rest of you girls look barefaced. You don't know what you're doing. Brian's makeup is snatched, sis. She knows what she's doing, and that gown is amazing. The rest of you look like you went to David's bridal. That's why you lost. That's why you lost. I'm going to be fair and objective here. Now, eventually the world is going to have to come to this conclusion, is that it's going to likely come to a day where people are going to discuss whether or not biological women should have a space solely their own that is just for them. And I know a lot of trans women will balk at the idea of, well, they're like, well, why would we be excluded? Because we are women. There are many different exclusions for women in many different divisions, categories. For example, pageantry. I am an American. I am an American woman. I am not allowed to compete in the Miss USA Filipina pageant. I am not allowed to compete in the Miss Latina USA pageant. I am also not allowed to compete in Bini Bini Pilipinas or Miss Universe Philippines or Miss Universe Thailand. None of those. Even though I'm a woman, they will not allow me to compete because there is extra criteria that I do not meet. I am not a national of their country. I am not Filipina. I am not Latina, which means I am excluded from places that would otherwise welcome other women. The same thing, I am also a Black woman. We have Black Miss USA and we have Black Miss America as well, which only accepts Black women. You cannot compete in those pageants if you are not Black. They exclude white women, all Asian women. You have to be Black. It's a historical context, and quite honestly, you can't even blame them for that because this comes from the segregationist history in the United States. Black people didn't force this pageant to be created. White people did. This is what happens. But the thing is, they've kept it going for this long, and it's a Black people thing. So it's these type of exclusionary things, though discriminatory, do have their place in society. I'm not going to sit here and be so uppity as to say, Philippines, you guys are so discriminatory. You guys are racist because you won't let me compete in your national pageant. That's not how this works. Is it discriminatory? Yes, but not all discrimination is bad. They have every right to uphold their national women and take pride in their own women from that country. The same way the ethnic minorities of the United States take pride in upholding women of a certain community. So I know it's likely going to be a fight one day in the pageant community, and it's a discussion that needs to be had. At what point do biological women have their moment where they do not have to come face to face with the trans women who really kind of do get a little bit of a leg up because they kind of got to self-design themselves for beauty, for pageantry. Have you guys seen trans women? They're gorgeous, okay? But they come with they get all the perks of getting to self-design in a way that a lot of biological women don't get. This is going to have to be a discussion. Is the pageant community necessarily ready for that just yet? No, I don't think the world is ready for that because they're still coming to terms with even accepting the trans community, which I'm just like, why is that so difficult? Why is just accepting people so difficult? I really don't care what you identify as, how you want to, I just don't. Like, I don't care how people want to live their lives unless you affect me. I don't care if you go to Albertsons or go grocery shopping in an evening gown every day of your life. I question why I'm not living in that world. I question why I'm not doing that. I just don't care. What matters is that everybody's treated with a semblance of fairness. And the only discussion that I think right now is really worth having is when it comes to women's sports. That one, I understand why everybody's throwing up a fight. And that's when I'm saying, okay, there does need to be a little bit of a separation simply because it's not fair. MGI is also not accepting trans. I know some pageants are not as accepting of the trans community. And each pageant is really going to have to figure out how far they're willing to go. If Miss Universe is going to be accepting trans women, that is fine. But nobody can be getting on biological women for any medical, physical changes they want to undergo for that pageant, because then it would be a double standard. So if you're going to have people a part of that pageant that have undergone major medical procedure, it has to be fair across the board. Everybody's allowed to do it. Nobody can be like, oh, she's had too much work done. None of that. That has to be dead and over with. Also, as a PR person, someone who's, understands how PR works a little bit, unfortunately, they're going to have to drop the whole accept yourself as you are thing, because I guarantee you the public, the first thing they're going to throw back at you is like, oh, accept yourself as you are because I see that you have a trans woman as a queen. Like, you can't do that. So they're going to have to rework some things. It can be done, but I'm just saying you got to facilitate the change. Don't set trans women up for failure or embarrassment by keeping all your taglines and everything the same, and then crowning a trans queen and then sending her into the fire, and everybody's making fun of her because they're like, oh, you're not very confidently beautiful. I've seen you've had 36,000 surgeries. Like, don't do that to her. That's not fair. If the pageants are going to do it, they really need to be careful about how it's done so as to protect all women involved, so it doesn't get messy, because I can definitely see it get messy. Look how the internet gets with every trans issue we ever see at this point.
It's like the football game. They're literally giving this person a pass because they're LGBTQ. Go to another picture. Go to another picture. I mean, bruh. Another picture.
No, hold on.
There's
no
way this
hold
is
on.
their LGBTQ.
Hold on here.
Go to another picture.
I want to see these pictures.
Go
Hold
to
on.
another picture.
I'm watching here. Okay. So are you guys, I know those of you listening to the podcast are not seeing what I'm seeing. So let me describe to you what I'm seeing, because this is really going to showcase how hypocritical and how dense some people are being with this issue. Because if the rules had stated certain things, then I would have been on your guys' side, because I'm all about fairness. I am looking at Brian on her knees, being crowned. She's got tears in her eyes. She's got the sash on. It's her crowning moment. The woman crowning her is also of a larger size. She is of a larger size. I am looking at the women in the background of the photo. These women are not the pinnacles of fitness. And I mean, this is a Miss America pageant, so I'm not expecting Miss Universe standards here. I'm not expecting Miss Grand standards here. They are not the pinnacles of fitness at all back there. But what's really drawing my eye, I don't really care about their body shape. What's drawing my eye is their evening gowns. Their evening gowns are matronly. Their evening gowns are giving me, honestly, Miss America. That's what their evening gowns are giving me, teen-esque, even though this is a Miss pageant. Except for Brian, on top of the hair and makeup also, like they got slick back ponytails. Like there's no volume, there's no styling, there's no makeup to be seen from the girls in the background. Even the woman crowning Brian right now looks like she's barefaced, even though she probably isn't. Every girl on this face looks like she doesn't know how to do her makeup, except for Brian. Every girl on this stage has a matronly or teen-esque looking gown, except for Brian. I don't know why I'm coughing right now. I'm dying. I've been cursed. Oh my goodness. So, my point being, it's really seeming like they are dinner party gowns. Absolutely, they're dinner party gowns. I'm gonna die. Oh my God, I have tears in my eyes, and I'm not sure it's because I'm like laughing, crying, or if I'm like, it's because I'm coughing. But truly, they are, this is not like us being mean or anything. Truly, they're wearing like Macy's dinner party gowns. Brian has this very like long train pageant-esque gown with a face full of like immaculately done makeup. And the rest of these girls look like they're fresh out of the shower. They don't look ugly, but they look barren. They don't look glammed up at all. So this is telling me Brian showed up to this pageant well prepared and knew what to expect. These other girls showed up like it was, I don't know, freaking Girl Scout Club or something. So this is why I'm saying you guys can get on her about her weight as much as you want. But at the end of the day, I don't even have to see the full pageant to know Brian won fair and square. Fair and square. Now, if there was a lineup of Miss Grand lookalikes back there with perfect posing hair and makeup, I would be like, okay, show me the pageant before I say anything, because I need to know. Because then I'm thinking there might have been some bias here. I don't like bias for anybody. I don't care if it's a black competitor. I don't care if it's a short competitor. I don't care if it's a blonde. I don't care. I don't like favoritism. I want the best, most deserving person to win. But what I'm seeing behind Brian is not no MGI queens. Okay. Brian went into this regional pageant like he was going into, or my apologies, like she was going into, because I keep saying Brian, and Brian's traditionally a male name. So it's confusing my brain. You know, it takes adjustment. But Brian clearly went into this pageant as if she was going to nationals, and the rest of these girls The rest of these girls woke up for the kitty club. Like they just, let's be honest, you guys were not ready for the punches Brian was packing. This is why. I'm sorry. You lost.
Another picture. I go back to the article. And you know, I have to walk on eggshells. You're not a bad person because you're not beautiful.
Look at this photo. I love
look,
this
man.
photo of Brian. Like, I'm sorry, sis. Like, you did this photo, though. You did this photo. And the thing is, what really upsets me, like, I see people getting all mad about this situation. Thing is, this photo of Brian, her headshot, is better than the headshots I saw for the national competition for Canada. Boom. 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 So then what? Because show me the rest of the girls' headshots, because I'm sure they weren't taking headshots the way Brian was taking headshots. So then what? You guys got outdone. You cannot. I don't want to hear any argument or debate from any woman ever unless there was actual unfairness done. If you walked better than Brian, if you turned better than Brian, if you spoke better than Brian, if you sent in photos that were better than Brian, then we would have something to talk about. But you didn't. Nobody did. You did not beat her on any valid level. The only reason y'all are on her right now is because she doesn't have the look that you want. And this is Miss America. Lower your standards. Lower your standards. Lower them to the floor. This is Miss America. Have you guys seen Miss America? They literally had women sitting on the floor during introduction in evening gowns. There is no swimsuit competition. There is no beauty judgment. Okay. It is a spoken word competition only, done in suits from the 90s, shoulder pads and all. That's it. That is Miss America in a nutshell. And I've tried to get them to correct it. And I just don't care. I just because it's fun to watch it go down. It is. It's fun. Like, they're not even trying to save themselves at this point. So why would anyone attempt to save them themselves? Like, boom, over. Leave Brian alone. Leave Brian alone. We might as well just be done.
You can be beautiful on the inside. You can have a great personality.
Yes.
This is not beauty in America.
But the thing is, those girls did not have beautiful walks. They didn't have beautiful turns. They didn't have beautiful makeup. They didn't have beautiful gowns. Like, I'm sure they were beautiful in spirit, but that's the only place it was present. That's the only place it was present. This is a game. This is a game. So on the scoreboard, the only thing you guys clocked Brian on was her fitness, because everything else, she sniped every one of you. Boom, bam, the queen is crowned. Is she going to win? I mean, it's Miss America, so technically she could win Miss America because it's Miss America. In Miss Grand, in Miss Universe, in Miss Earth, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't happen. The competition is too tough and the fitness would come into play. But Brian's playing her cards right. Get lost and lose. Next, ding ding, next case. We're on to Kanye West because the Brian thing is closed. It is closed. I'm sorry. If you guys had like a valid argument against Brian, I would hear it. But it's just, I've been listening to the Republicans rant, and you guys haven't come up with anything that's fair because you don't understand pageantry. You guys just don't understand pageantry, because best believe if somebody was being unfair in pageantry, I would be the first one complaining about it. It would be me. So yes, next case. Brian, go on and reign, sis. Go on and reign, because you did spank those girls. I saw the photos. They were not touching you, okay? They were cold as ice and you were on fire. You melted them and then made a smoothie. It was nice. So Kanye West has been getting in trouble all over the internet, right? All over the internet. For those of you who don't know on the podcast, if you're just listening to my wonderful, lovely voice right now, why is my earphones going in and out? This is crazy. I don't like that. Kanye has been really trying the patience of a lot of people, and he had the audacity to say, Adidas, the people that sell the Kanye West Yeezy brand, could not drop him at all. Even if he were to say something anti-Semitic, they couldn't touch him. Like, Kanye was feeling real untouchable lately, to the point where he was saying a whole bunch of nonsense on Twitter, talking about, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on Jews. That is not an exaggeration at all. He posted that on Twitter. In the morning, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jews, and dared Adidas to drop him. Well, Adidas said bet and dropped him. They did, because he was just causing so much PR damage that he made himself too toxic for any company to touch. Now, the black community was already done with Kanye. He was already dragging the black community through the mud. The black community started side-eyeing everybody who suddenly got mad at Kanye when he went after Jews, because the black community was like, excuse you, he's been going after us for like the whole year. The Kanye West has been wearing White Lives Matter shirts and I don't know, saying what slavery was a choice and a whole bunch of craziness, and nobody cared when it was the black community. But as soon as he went after the Jewish community, uprising, right? Uprising. So everybody has come out against Kanye because he's truly gone off his rocker. And I posted on Twitter that I personally am revoking Kanye's black card. Like, I'm done with him. Like, I don't consider him a part of the community. I don't consider him relevant. I consider him a threat to everyone's welfare. I want nothing to do with Kanye West at all. At all. I'm done with him. So White Lives Matters exist where and how? White Lives Matters doesn't exist. The only reason a White Lives Matter anything would exist is because it is a derivative of Black Lives Matter, which is why black people take such an issue with it. It's like me walking by somebody's birthday party and seeing all their birthday parties and all their birthday balloons, and then deciding to erect my own banners and balloons right on top of theirs because my birthday matters too. Even though it's not my birthday, it doesn't matter. You're not the only person that has a birthday and you have to acknowledge my birthday too. Like, it's plainly derivative, and it's insulting because nobody said white lives didn't matter. What the saying means is that it's a reminder. It's a reminder. It's saying, hey, we want to remind you, like, don't treat black people bad because they're human beings too. You should respect them too, just like you respect everybody else. Black lives matter too. Okay? That's what that means. So the whole White Lives Matter thing really sent even P. Diddy, like some real industry heavyweights, into like a frenzy because the black community considered Kanye West to kind of be a big part of our leadership, sort of. He was an icon. People truly respected him, and Kanye West did have a lot of power. He had significant amount of power. So he started disrespecting the black community, and not too many people took issue except for the black community who hated it. But he went after the Jewish community, and he took a beating. So the Yeezy brand has been dropped and will no longer be sold in stores, and TJ Maxx and Kohl's have disavowed all of his discount shoes and decided all of those shoes that are going unsold by Adidas, you're not going to send them to us to even like use them as knockoffs. Like, we're not selling your shoes. They completely cut him off. Kanye West lost his billionaire status overnight. Overnight, it was gone. Everybody dropped him. Not only that, his bank stopped working with him. And then it got so bad that Kanye West could not even use his Apple Pay. He woke up, tried to do, I don't know what he was trying to do, tried to use his Apple Pay, and it couldn't be done because Adidas had like blocked his bank accounts or something with his bank, because even his bank wasn't working with him anymore. And they told him he's got like to the end of the month to find a new place to house his money, because they said, we don't even want your money. You got to go. We don't want nothing to do with you. Nothing. Yeah, it's been bad for Kanye. In fact, I got this clip here. We're going to watch this clip about Kanye so you understand.
I went from being a multi-billionaire to not being able to use my Apple Pay. 4 nights ago, I couldn't use my Apple Pay because somehow Adidas was able to legally go in and freeze my money. And when I see this, I think, well, if this could happen to me, this could happen to other Americans. And for what? You know, this can happen to an American that didn't even steal anything, that didn't even hurt anyone. This could just happen to you for saying the wrong idea out loud, for expressing yourself.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about that sentiment because Kanye West, if you don't know, or if you're from a different country, he is a self-proclaimed Republican. He's one of those, and he's one of the crazy, crazy ones. Not one of the respectable Republicans, one of the sane ones. He's one of those like in the grass Republicans. Like, he's just off in his own world, Republicans. He's really touting that extreme right-wing paranoia of deep state. They can control the way you think, and if you do not abide by the boundaries of Big Brother, they will ruin your life and strip you of everything you have. And I'm just like, no. I mean, I understand, the whole state thing, and there is a significant amount of power that a government does have. I'm not going to dispute that. But this is not a situation in which you get to accuse the deep state of doing something to you, Kanye. Let's understand, we as a people live in a society. All of us, every single one of us, no matter where you live in a society. And when you live in a society, you are contractually obligated to abide by the societal rules that everybody upholds to. That is called the law. The law is the contract of which everyone abides by to operate within the bounds of society. And there are many benefits to being a part of a society. There is cultural exchange, monetary exchange. There are the goods and services distributed by other members of society that you get to partake in. There are many benefits to being a part of a society. However, there are also drawbacks to being a part of the society. You have to respect the other members, a part of the group. Kanye went to the length of isolating a large segment of the members of his society. It is not mandated that the people around you have to associate with you, work with you, be around you. It is a choice we all make. But Kanye kind of turned his back on society as a whole. He went after two very large groups of people, and the rest of society looked at him going on the attack and said, we're not going to allow this. You're attacking members of our group, our big family, unjustifiably, and we're not going to let that happen. He's over here thinking, he's like, I didn't do anything illegal. No, you didn't. And that's why you're not in jail. No one's throwing you in prison. I wouldn't want him thrown in prison. Freedom of speech. Go make a dick out of yourself. Be an idiot. Fine. That's what it means to be an American. You have the freedom to be stupid. But the rest of society also has the freedom to not want to associate with you. Banks do not have to work with you. Those are owned by people, and they don't have to share their financial institutions with you. People do not have to give you their goods and services. Nobody has to buy your music. No one has to support you. No one has to associate with you. You disown society, and a lot of society is disowning you back. It is something that you brought onto yourself that you cannot complain to the government for, because this isn't a legal matter. This is a social matter. It's kind of like if you get into a parking disagreement with your neighbor. It's not a legal matter. You need to talk it out with your neighbor, or otherwise you're going to be enemies, but don't expect the state to get involved. There's certain behaviors that is expected in order to live a prosperous life in society. And respecting thy neighbor, someone who is so God-fearing, someone who touts the Bible so freaking much, should understand that is one of the 10 commandments, and you shoved it up everybody's butt. And now you are distraught that you can't use Apple Pay after throwing the middle finger at all of society. Bye, Kanye. Bye. This is not deep state. And I did see a couple, there was like one YouTuber, and I'm so sick of her. Like, I'll still listen to her every now and then, but her conspiracy theories are just going off into la la land. I'm just like, is there no critical thinking left in the world? Is there none? No critical thinking to be had by anyone? Because they're like, oh yeah, well, he does have a point. He's been exiled by everyone, all for his thoughts and everything. And I'm just like, yeah. For his thoughts and everything, he's been exiled. Put it this way, right? If another man, not Kanye West, let's say Random Joe makes a YouTube channel and decides to exclaim his love for children, his inappropriate, intimate love for children. He wants to make a YouTube channel devoted to that and proclaim his love for little boys under the age of 11. What do you think would happen? He would likely be exiled by society. And he could not sit there and be like, I was just voicing my opinions. I am being blackballed by YouTube and the deep state. It's like, no, dude. You're going against societal norms and you are bringing harm to the public, and they do not have to be forced to deal with you. Proclaiming your love for children under the age of 11, honestly, it's not illegal. It is not illegal. Being a part of the MAP community is not illegal unless you take action on it. You actually have to complete action. But simply getting on YouTube and spouting off nonsense and saying all that, that's not going to land you in jail. It's not. It's not. But it will land you in societal exile, which is what Kanye is facing right now. This is not deep state nothing. This is society saying F you because you flipped the middle finger at them first. You said you were going to go DEFCON 3 on Jews. What were you thinking? What did you think was going to happen? That the world would shrug and walk away and not have a problem with it? You trashed many, many, many members of society. And even the members you didn't trash, a lot of them aren't pushovers. Like, sure, you didn't trash white people, but white people aren't just inherently evil. Even though, I mean, Republicans like to pretend people said that. No one said that. White people are not inherently evil. And a lot of them understand the oppression that minorities face. And they have no problem using their privilege on behalf of the less fortunate. I know many white men that are privileged that will happily hand out white privilege to their minority counterparts to be of aid and help. Legit, I have people that will like go into certain stores for me. If I need somebody to talk to the cops, they will talk to the cops. I'm like, they will have my back because they understand that I'm a black woman. There's certain things I'm not about to do. But I have white friends that will share their privilege with me because they understand. So these white people who get it, there's a large amount of them now. White people have been thoroughly educated on their privilege and they understand that they're superhuman. They understand that they are superhuman. As I said about the trans women, y'all are superhuman. By the way, PSA for trans women, do me a favor. Can trans women please join men's sports? Please, because I'm tired of men shit talking women. I just want to see, I want to see a super beautiful trans woman join football and smash dudes. I want to see a super beautiful trans woman join MMA and beat the crap out of a man because they like to shit talk women all the time. They shit talk us and call us weak and emotional and everything. Trans women, if you want to do women a real solid, okay, do us a real solid, do something the rest of us can't do. Go beat men in a way that we can't, because you guys are superhuman. You guys are like the Wonder Women of the women world. Do me a solid and just do that and do it in full glam. I will hang a poster of you on my wall. I just need a trans woman to do it for me because I'm not superhuman, but you are. But back to the white privilege superhumans. There are a lot of white people who understand privilege and now use that privilege in a very positive way. So when Kanye West went on a rampage against minorities, the rest of the white people he didn't attack took up arms. They went to war because white people are not willing to tolerate any type of BS. Now that the wall has been pulled from their eyes and they see it, they're not going to let it happen. A large majority of them call bullshit every time they see it. I love watching Karens go after, or I love anti-Karens. I like watching anti-Karens go after Karens. I love watching white women go after other white women. It soothes my minority soul to see that white women finally get it and they are willing to throw down the gauntlet. Every time they see a Karen, these women will go to war in Walmart. They don't give a damn. If a white woman cuts me in Walmart and doesn't say a word or is so entitled to be like, oh, I have somewhere to be, you can just wait. Man, if 40 white women don't show up at my back with spears and armor ready to go to war for me, I don't have to say a word because they understand. They get it. If a cop says something wrong to me on the street, all I gotta do is just flash a look into the window of a store. And there's at least 2 white women with deer eyes watching to see if I need help. They have our back. A lot of them do. I'm not saying all of them do, because, you know, some of you guys live in Texas and Alabama and some of those racist places, and it's not necessarily the safest for you. But I live in California. There are a lot of white women who are true allies, and sometimes they do too much. I'm not saying they don't do too much sometimes, but they will fly their capes. Yes, they fly them too high sometimes, but they will come. If you ask them, they will come. I have white women come flying. It's amazing. I love them. The white people are not going to allow you to trash any minority group, even if they're not a part of that community. That's what I'm saying. You cannot trash black people. A lot of white people aren't going to allow that anymore, as they shouldn't. And you cannot trash the Jewish community. The white people who are not Jewish they're still not going to allow it. It is not okay to trash anybody. And the world is really starting to become more accepting of people of different beliefs, ethics, backgrounds, nationalities. Kanye is justifiably being dragged. Justifiably. Nobody wants to play with you anymore, Kanye. No one wants to share their toys with you. No one wants to be around you because you're mean. You're mean. And I don't care what type of mental health excuse you're going to come up with. I don't care. I don't. I understand that he may have mental issues, but that is not a get out of jail free card. Having mental issues does not mean it is okay that you offend or hurt other people. That is not a gloss over, well, he has mental issues. I don't give a damn. You're not allowed to do that to anybody, ever. And especially when he's not even attempting to take care of himself. He's just running with it. And then he's announcing some run for presidency. Like, no. I'm happy. I'm happy the entire world is coming down on Kanye West because he deserves it. I'm done with him. The community's done with him. We're all done with him. I have no idea what I want to title this podcast. I was trying to come up with something saucy before I hopped on here. I couldn't. I'm probably going to name it something different later, but whatever. Meanwhile, I do want to let everybody know here that oh, I see Ryder, you're still in there. Some people learned the fact that they can't disparage others like they used to anymore. Absolutely. And I'm really happy that the world is really coming to this place of just acceptance. Like, you know what? We're not going to tolerate the nastiness. We're not going to tolerate the gross behavior. Like, the world is really starting to realize, like, it doesn't have to be such a rough life for everybody. And if everybody can just kind of get along, then it's more prosperous for everyone involved. Like, everybody's really trying to be more understanding, except for Kanye West, which is why everybody's jumping down his throat. Because it's like a lot of, you know, white Americans have been through a lot these last 2 years, and they've really come to, you know, a discovery of understanding other people's lives and histories. They've really started to really embrace the struggles of other people. They're trying. There are some people out here that are really trying to understand. Kanye West is doing the exact opposite of what really the rest of the world is doing. He's really doing his best to not give a damn. He's really doing his best to not understand at all. He's doing his best to not give a shit about anybody else's life or welfare or the impacts that he has on them. He doesn't give a damn. He was yelling at P. Diddy and exposing his text messages when P. Diddy was trying to be nice to him and being like, bro, you are hurting our community. You're hurting people. You're making this unsafe for people. You need to stop. Like, P. Diddy was like, I'll come to your house. I'll talk to you. Like, you are my brother. I'm there for you, but you can't do this. And Kanye was talking all this mess, threatening to fight him, expose him. Like, Kanye just didn't give a damn, even though people kept reaching out to him and trying to, like, be understanding. He just does not want to. And this is why I'm like, I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy for him. None. It's not a deep state dilemma. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's society turning its back on Kanye West, as he deserves. That we're done with him. We're done. And for those of you who don't, Kanye is saying he wants to run again. Donald Trump has recently announced his run for the presidency. That's happening. Yeah. The twice impeached president, who's under numerous investigations, has decided that after being voted out of office, he would like to participate again. And he wants to run against the man that beat him. Like, Joe Biden is not, I'm not going to sit up here and act like Joe Biden's the best thing that ever happened to the United States, okay? I didn't want Joe Biden to be a president ever. I never wanted Joe Biden to be president. You guys forced Joe Biden down my throat. I didn't want him as president. And to be totally honest, the rest of the Democrats didn't. Nobody wanted Joe Biden as president. No one was out here flying Biden fat flags proudly. No. Okay. We were all Bernie people and the Democrats screwed it up. This is why I'm like, I really want to, drag the Democrats because they deserve it, but I just need the Republicans to stop being crazy long enough to let me do it. Hi, Wilson. Oh, Wilson said he's got class. Go to school, Wilson. We love a good student. Have a good time. But like, I want to drag the Democrats so bad because they're so dense and so stupid and so self-entitled. And they're the ones that have landed us in this situation of even having to deal with Trump. We never should have had to deal with Trump because everybody knew, or at least we knew, okay? The Democrats knew people were not okay with Hillary. They weren't. They were not. And you needed the minorities to come out and vote, and you needed young people to come out and vote. And neither one of those demographics really liked Hillary Clinton. They didn't. They didn't like her, but you forced her down our throats to the point where people were like, screw you. We'd rather have anybody but another like lifelong politician. So they voted in Trump. It was the worst mistake ever. But the American people were so fed up that the only way they could give you the middle finger was to vote in the person that would make life the worst and hardest for all of the rest of the politicians, which he did. You can't say Donald Trump didn't give entertainment value when he was in office, but he just started to destroy the country. So eventually it became a point where it wasn't funny and he needed to go. And yes, I did vote for Hillary and it pained my freaking soul because I didn't want her either. Like, I didn't want a lifelong politician either, but it's just like the Democrats don't listen. They don't listen. A lot of young people are willing to be politically involved. Like, a lot of young people are very invested in politics at this point in a way that they never have been before, but they don't feel inspired to participate because the Democrats in my country do not, they don't take the young people's wishes or thoughts seriously. A lot of young people are very progressive. They want a lot of systematic change in the nation. They care a lot about things like climate change, economics, the values of rent and price increases, inflation, schooling, college. They care a lot about that stuff. And Democrats really just keep pushing that stuff aside. They just, during election season, they say that they care, but when it comes down to getting these things done, Democrats really sit on their hands. And the best example of this can be the whole abortion thing that's going on in the United States right now. Joe Biden's sitting up here talking about, you guys need to vote for us. Please vote for us. If you vote for us, we can codify Roe v. Wade and we can fix the whole Supreme Court issue and make sure that abortion is an option for every woman in the country. But you guys have to vote your hearts out during the midterms. Okay, fine. Midterms are passed now, right? Democrats didn't suffer a complete loss, but Joe Biden is suddenly not trying to discuss anything about codifying abortion rights for women in this country. Joe, you told me that if I voted for you, you were going to give me a present. That's what I was told. I was told that I was getting a Christmas gift, and I don't see it. And I know it's not Christmas yet, but midterms Christmas has passed, and I do not see Joe Biden on a podium anywhere handing out presents, okay? You're not even chucking rolls of tissue at us ladies out here. At least Trump did that for the Puerto Ricans. Joe, you're not giving us anything. What are you doing, Joe? What are you doing? This is why people are so fed up with the Democrats. Like, sure, we have no choice but to vote for you because the Republicans are going through civil war right now because they're psychotic. They're psychotic. But Joe, come on. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but Joe Biden can't even speak a full sentence. I know. And I'm just like, if you think the Democrats of my country, like the older people, anybody over the age of 70, maybe they are running around like, oh, Joe Biden's the best. Yay, Joe Biden. But honestly, everybody under the age of 50, and even probably beyond that, no one loves Joe Biden. Okay, for those of you from different countries, just so you know, nobody loves Joe Biden. Nobody's got a poster of Joe Biden on their wall. None of us like him. We know he's not the best president. We were just forced to choose between that or, like, I don't know, a literal bug. Like, it was like that or one of the hell spawn of the gates of Satan. Like that was the choice we were saddled with. So we chose the freaking frog on a log. That's who we chose. We had no choice but to choose Joe. That's what we're stuck with. And I'd rather be stuck with him than Trump. But like come on, Democrats, what are you doing? Like, they're doing nothing. They're sitting up there collecting a paycheck and then gaslighting the rest of the nation, talking about, we're doing our best for you. You've done nothing. The filibuster is still around. For what reason? The Electoral College, why are we still using that? Why are we not doing something about gerrymandering? Like, there's so many things that can be done. You're not trying to codify Roe. What are you guys doing in office? What are you doing in office? Like, what did you do today? I'm going to have to just clip that and then send it to every member of Congress and the Senate, because I want to know, what did you do today to get that fat paycheck that you get every month? What did you do? Because I see what the Republicans are doing, and they're doing their damn job. And now their job is to sit on everything the Democrats try to move. I get that. But the thing is, what are the Democrats trying to move? Like, what are they actually trying to move? Do you guys know? Because I freaking don't. I don't know what they're trying to move. Davonna, who did you vote for last election? Anybody who wasn't Trump. Anybody who wasn't Trump. Like, anything but Trump. This is why we have Joe Biden. This is why they put Joe Biden in our face, because they knew that the Americans were so fed up with Trump, we would literally vote for anything that wasn't Donald Trump. Okay? We would put a stack of pancakes in leadership position over Donald Trump. That's how fed up Americans were of the orange monster. We did not care who took over, but it's just the Democrats took advantage of our emotional state and how fed up the public was to shove Joe Biden down our throats, which was like the last politician that we wanted. Nobody wanted him. A lot of the people who were vocal wanted Bernie Sanders because he was the only one that was really touting actual change. Like, he was ready to take on the big corporations and the monopolies of like Facebook and Google and the pay discrepancies that these big companies were giving their workers, and he was like really ready to take on big projects. The thing is, a lot of the Democrats benefit from not touching those mega corporations. A lot of them benefit. They have financial backing from those big people. So they didn't want to ruffle too many feathers. They didn't want to rock the boat. The Democrats truly like things the way they are. They're not trying to make any major changes. Even though the Republicans are currently going through a civil war, the Democrats undercover have been kind of going through it too. Because even though it's the Democratic Party, the older Democrats are more centrist. They kind of think everything's fine the way it is. We don't need to make any changes, which is why nothing gets done in the United States, because the older people are in charge and they don't want to make any changes because they think everything's fine. And then you have the progressive people like the Bernie Sanders and the AOC and Ilhan Omar, the people that really get all the hate. They get all the hate because they want to change the system. They want to disrupt everything. And all the older people are like, hold on there now, you young whippersnapper. Okay, we've been doing this since I was a child, and we're not going to let you come around here making things different. Things have been working just fine since I was a little boy, pushing my daddy's tractor through the cornfields. The American people have been great thus far, and you will not change a thing. And I'm so sick of those people. I'm sick of them. I'm so sick of all of the ancient people that are holding up progress, because the rest of us young people are sitting on our hands on mountains of student loan debt, can't get so much as a single apartment for rent because inflation is skyrocketing. Meanwhile, we're being chastised by the older crowd talking about, why aren't you younger people married by now? When I was your age, I had my own home by the age of 25. And it's like, when you got your own home, it costs 25 cents. Okay? Like, when you got your own home, you didn't have to saddle yourself with mountains of debt, and also a cheeseburger cost like $1.25. Like, get out of our face. Gas was $1.50. Go somewhere. Now your houses that you paid $25,000 for cost more than $500,000. because you made it so impossible for anybody else to have financial stability, and they don't want to provide it for any of the younger people. They're not pushing any bills through to help younger people. They're not doing anything to stifle this inflation. They're not, even just in California alone. Rent prices are exorbitant, you guys. It's insane. Everybody out here who's lucky enough to be paying for a mortgage is paying less than people paying for rent. And most people in this state have to rent. And a 1-bedroom apartment in California cost around $1,800 for a 1-bedroom. A 1-bedroom. Now, where is a newly minted adult 18-year-old going to have $1,800 for rent? And most apartments require that you make 3 times the rent in order for them to rent to you. So your monthly income has to be, I don't know, somewhere north of $5,000. Minimum wage in California is $15 an hour. And you would think, well, just get a better job. Even when I am not doing YouTube stuff, I have like a good office job. I do. Desk and all. Desk and all. A lot of the office jobs pay $22, $23 an hour. So you can make $2,000, $3,000 a month if you work full-time 8-hour days. But that is still not enough to qualify for a 1-bedroom apartment. I know welders, I know people who work in construction that cannot get a place to live without roommates because life is so expensive out here. And yeah, everybody out there who's like, oh, I want to move to the United States. Oh, I want to live in California. Don't do it. People I know overseas think Americans make a lot of money. And it's like, it sounds like a lot of money on paper. And then we lay out the bills for you. Yeah, it sounds super fun to be making like upwards of $20+ an hour until you realize that rent out here base costs $1,800 a month. And that's just rent, okay? That's not electrical or internet, water, gas, depending on where you like. That's not including your healthcare, which is not free. Transportation, gas is like $6 again. Americans are broke, you guys. All of them. All of them, even the ones with really great jobs, they're all broke. They're all suffering. And this is why you see so much issues in my country, is because even the well-off Americans are broke. And our politicians are arguing amongst themselves over who gets to sit in the big chair. They're not trying to get anything done. They're just arguing about who gets to sit on the Iron Throne. And that's why you see fires and riots and there's just so many issues. People are just going nuts. This is why. And it's just going to get worse. Like, it's only going to get worse. I see Andrew down there. Midterm elections, I believe, are every 4 years, in between the president 4-year term. So we have really every 2 years, we have a big election. That is true. For the presidential election is every 4 years. So everybody's gearing up to start the presidential election. The next presidential election is in 2 years. It's in 2024. So Donald Trump just announced his candidacy for president of the United States yet again. That better not happen, because this country went to crap when Donald Trump was president. Literal crap. They had like fencing around the White House and the Capitol building. There was fires and tanks on the streets of Washington, D.C. It looked like China. It was very bad. And I did a whole vlog series because I flew out there because it was so insane that I'm like, this is never going to happen again. If Trump gets back into office, it'll definitely happen again. But that has never happened in the history of the United States, where our entire country was on fire. There was protests in every state. Capitol buildings were under siege. Police officers were driven out of their districts, out of their hubs, out of their own offices. It was chaos in the United States. Absolute mayhem. He can never be president again. It was so bad. And then, of course, we had the January 6th insurrection thing, which people are like, it wasn't an insurrection. Shut up. For those of you who watched watched the vlog series I did when I was in Washington, D.C., I was at the Capitol building. And we stood outside of the Capitol building, blocked by the DC Capitol Police, privately and peacefully protesting. Nobody got hurt. Nobody died. Nobody died. They also didn't let us touch the steps of the Capitol building. Even when I went by myself and there was no protest and no crowd, they did not let me freaking lick a step on the Capitol building, even though nobody was around. They would not let me take a freaking picture on the Capitol building steps. But when the Trump supporters showed up, they opened the barricades and let them walk right in the building. And what did they do? Destroyed the Capitol building, smeared poop on the walls. Somebody died and got shot. They killed an officer with an American flag. Like, chaos. Absolute freaking chaos. That man cannot be president again. It was insane. It's literal Game of Thrones in Congress right now. Absolutely. And now that our leadership finally is realizing they're a little bit too old to be leadership, like, you should not be making decisions that you don't have to live to see the ramifications of. Sorry, that should be the rule. Okay. You guys are at the point where you're so old, you will not be experiencing the laws that you enact. Get the hell out of the office. Finally, some of our leadership is kind of deciding it's time to step down. And I'm like, thank freaking God. You're 86,000 years, like, goodbye. Goodbye. You lost touch with reality a long time ago. I know why everybody hates Nancy Pelosi. I was so fed up with her that I wanted to run against her, and I probably would have run because people are so sick of her, and she's finally realizing people are sick of her. But it's like, it's because you're out of touch with what American people need. People are out here suffering, and you're arguing over the chair. Your people are hungry and you're arguing over the chair. You're so busy fighting with the other side of the aisle that you're not focused on what your job should be, which is the people that need you. So the people that need you are so fed up, they're going to drag you out of your chair by force. And now that Nancy has witnessed this, she's like, oh, maybe I should step down from maybe I should step down from my seat of power now. Maybe you should. Maybe you should. It's getting real violent out here because you're putting people's lives in jeopardy. Like, why are insulin prices through the roof? People can't get their medication because it costs $2,000 a bottle. They have to drive to Mexico to get simple insulin. Are you insane? My country is off the rocker. Lost it completely. Obliterated. Just, my country makes no sense. My country makes no sense. And this is why I do not fault Republicans for all the crap that they talk about Democrats. Yes, some of it is nonsense, like the whole Blair White thing. They're out here murdering 9-month-old fetuses. Shut up, Blair. They're not. Stop making stuff up. Like, girl, stop it. But there's some valid criticism of the Democrats that I'm like, yes, absolutely, criticize the hell out of them. I just need the Republicans to stop being psychotic. Like, I wish my country was not so crazy. Please stop. It's a lot. It's a lot to, like, turn on the news every day and just be like, okay, all right, what happened this time? Like, are we still a country? Are we at war? Like, is the president still alive? Because that's always a question too. And now they're trying to let Donald Trump back on Twitter. And it's just like, they're just trying to kill us all. They're trying to destroy us all. Oh, somebody send me a greeting card. I've been asking for that for years. If I, like, provide a mailing address, will someone send me one? Can I just have one? Can I? Like, I like being an American, but things are, like, really scary over here right now. I need a hug. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to figure out what I am going to title this podcast eventually, but I'm happy that I got to stick around and have fun with people and chit chat because I needed it. It's been kind of a weird day for me, but I'm happy. You guys make me super. Politicians used to be so mature and normal. They did. What happened? Good old days. Remember when politics was boring and no one cared? Remember that? I remember that. I remember when politics was boring and nobody cared. Like, no one gave a crap. I remember that. I kind of miss those days because now I feel like we're all on pins and needles and we're constantly watching CNN just to make sure we can survive another day. It's really crazy. Salute to the politicians who do their job well. There's a few of them who are really trying and fighting the good fight. If I could get on a seat, I would, just so I could just at least annoy the older people out of office. If that could be my sole job, was to push the old people out of the old farts, to just annoy them. Like, I'm just going to make noise up and down the halls of Congress and make sure none of these old farts get to take a nap. I'm going to sleep deprive them until they quit their jobs. I would do it. I would seek election just to drive them insane and get them out of office so then we could get things done. Because even the young Republicans aren't that crazy. The young Republicans I can work with. They think in logic. It's just the old people that are just weird. What do you think about Philippines not sending representatives to MGI next year? I would need confirmation on that. That would be very hard to believe. I know people have been kind of attempting to get Philippines to pull out of MGI for a while. So I don't know if that's been validated or not. If it is, we're gonna have to talk about that. But until I can get confirmation on that, we're gonna wait and see. I can't see Philippines dropping out of MGI though. I can't see it. I can't see it happening. But yeah, I'll figure out what I'm gonna call this podcast later. In the meantime, thanks for joining me on another episode of the SovereignTEA podcast. Just catching up on all the nonsense, the silliness, the stuff happening in the world. Thanks for being here with me, guys. I do feel honestly a lot better. Truly. See, you guys are such a pick-me-up. You guys are great. For those of you on the podcast side and you're not watching this on YouTube, you can always come find us on YouTube. Stay with the podcast. You never know. But I will be popping up momentarily every now and then doing the podcast with myself and my mother. Heads up. I think that there's going to be some major personal tea spilt by Mama Sovereign on the podcast. I'm not sure if it's going to be live streamed on YouTube or not, because it's real damn personal and juicy, and it's going to be a hell of a conversation. So we'll have to see if it hits YouTube. Mom might be the first one making a real in-depth, real serious, real deep podcast story. There's a lot to talk about in this situation. Just let me get her settled, and she'll probably tell you guys what she's getting into, because it's extensive and it's big and it's serious, and my mom does like to share. So I mean, if she cues you guys in on her life, my Lord, it's gonna be a hell of a podcast. But I'll see you guys later. Get some sleep, go to class, be good citizens.